it's so subjective. And that's their prerogative because they fucking own it. They can do whatever they want. But I hate how, like, there's no process in place. I want to see the most deserving person go to Rogue. I don't want to see who they feel like inviting.
What does deserving mean?
Deserve or earn?
Earned, I suppose. So I guess 6 off the queue leaderboard. I don't want to see the fucking backfill from the invite.
So they didn't earn it through their games performance?
Where is that? Where's that rule book?
Exactly.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. No, that's what I'm saying. If they had it written out that, okay, we are going to invite the top 15 from the games and then the top 5 from the queue. And when we backfill, because the games get the first 15 spots, they're going to get the first opportunity to backfill. Cool. Without any of that, I'm just like, how do we know who's supposed to be there?
You just wish the speculation wasn't there. Yeah.
Invite Hunter McIntyre for all I care.
So you'd rather have structure in a rule book than have Tia Claire there maybe this year or Annie Thor's daughter there last year?
No, if that was in the rule book, that they could invite Tia Claire to me whenever they wanted from now till 2032.
But how does that make a difference? Just saying that they can do whatever they want versus doing whatever they want without saying it?
I just don't like knowing what the process is. I don't like knowing what...
You don't like not knowing?
Yeah, I don't like not knowing how it's supposed to work. I don't know. I mean, call me crazy. I just don't like sitting in the dark being like, well, who gets the first backfill invite? Because then it makes me question, well, who's most deserving of the first backfill invite? I don't know. There's so much in this sport where it's like there's so much that's just not set in stone and it's so ever changing. It makes things like this difficult and kind of dumb to a degree when it's like, when is it just going to be set and people learn how to play by that rule?
Yeah. And a lot of times
a year before you change it.
And a lot of times too, the argument's going to be, oh, it doesn't matter. Whoever they backfill is going to finish bottom 5. That's not the case at Rogue. It's so exclusive. There's only 20. You take someone that finished 16th or 17th or 18th from the games, they could have just gotten a string of tests at the games that weren't suited for them. They could show up to Rogue and wreck. You could backfill Jason or Tyler Christoffel. They could show up to Rogue and do really well. So it is a big deal. Like how they backfill it.
And this is the truth too, not just about Rogue, but about the games as well. Is there with the exception of 4 people total individual side, men and women, the programming matters so fucking much. And the placement of one movement or not having one movement in the games is the difference between a top 5 and a top 15th potentially, or something along those lines, or a slight bias towards one thing versus a slight bias towards another is a huge difference in placing at the games. It's the podium, and maybe those 4 to 6 people can say, okay, I'm going to do really well, but I wouldn't even say podium. I would say they can guarantee themselves a top 5 regardless of the programming. They're not not who competed this year is going to guarantee themselves a win regardless of the programming, but they can guarantee a top 5 or podium. And then everyone else, it's like, oh, you could be 5th based off the programming, or you could be cut.
Yeah.
I guess to me, it just doesn't make it, for me, it just doesn't make a difference until Rogue's actually a part of a season under CrossFit. Then it's like, I hope they invite Tia Claire, even though she didn't compete at the games. And I don't really care if they tell me what they're doing. I understand why, from an athlete coach perspective, it's frustrating because you don't really understand. Okay, well, should I do the qualifier if I'm, in 16th, and the likelihood of someone not doing Rogue in the top 15 of the games is pretty high. So I figure I'll get a backfill. I understand that's frustration, but I guess from my perspective, I just don't really care unless it's going to be like contributing to some season long. We're going to crown a season champ for 2023, regular season, whatever, and Rogue's actually a part of contributing points to some overall point scheme, then it's just like, well, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think Katie said when she went on Sevan's show recently, she's like, this is a showcase. That's what we want it to be. We want to showcase the athletes. We want to showcase the legends. We want to showcase the strongman community. We want to celebrate the iron game. So with that outlook of like it being a showcase, and we can get into the programming of it, what we think the programming is going to be like, what it's been like in the past, but take something like a handstand walk, for instance. It's something that we're accustomed to seeing at most high-level CrossFit competitions, whether it's unbroken requirement, whether it's over obstacles, whether it has pirouettes, whatever. The movement has never been programmed one time at Rogue. Never. So,
Crazy.
but like that's their style. So to me, do you just stay with that? Or do you say, hey, we've never done this before, doesn't mean we would never do it, and you shift the programming? I mean, last year we got on and talked about how it felt more like a CrossFit Games style programming, like the number of workouts, the how aggressive they were, the loading, that it was just like, dang, dude, this is nasty. Like everyone's going to leave this weekend being pretty messed up.
And it was a lot of pressing, so much pressing.
Yeah. So it's like, do you make it 4 days and you make it 9 or 10 events? Do you make it 3 days and you make it 6 or 7? I mean, like you've said, they can do whatever they want. But when you start to think about Rogue, you have this idea in your head of it just being a standalone type thing, maybe the most exclusive competition in the world as far as CrossFit goes. Like, you want to know what it is and you want to know how you get there, kind of to your point.
I think it would be really cool for them to invite Tia.
It would be cool.
Yeah, that wouldn't upset me one bit. I'm just saying I don't like not knowing where the backfill's supposed to come from. And I don't really give a shit who it goes. I care who it goes to in the sense that because it's so exclusive, I don't want to see a single athlete there just taking their licks and moving through events. I want all 20 athletes on each side throwing haymakers.